Welcome back, class 10 to the online bio classes. Today we have to start with the nervous system in human beings. There are three types of nervous system: central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and autonomic nervous system. Central nervous system consists of two parts, brain and spinal cord, whereas peripheral nervous system is made up of two parts, that is the nerves which arises from the brain called cranial nerves, which are 12 pairs, nerves which arises from the spinal cord called spinal nerves, which is 31 pairs, and the autonomic nervous system or ANS is further divided into two parts, sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. So next one is central nervous system. Central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. Both of them are present inside a covering, that is a connective tissue which is called meninges. It is asked in the examination, what is meninges? Meninges is the outermost covering of both brain and spinal cord. It is made up of three layers. The outer layer is called dura mater, middle layer is called arachnoid, remember, and the inner layer is called pia mater. The space which is present between arachnoid and pia mater, it is filled with a fluid that is called CSF or cerebrospinal fluid. It has functions like it protects the brain and spinal cord from shock and injury, as well as desiccation, that is from drying. Now, the cerebrospinal fluid flow throughout the central nervous system through the central canal which is present inside the spinal cord, the central cerebrospinal canal of spinal cord, and it is also present in the interconnected network of four ventricles which are present in the brain. Now next one is, it returns back to the blood through the veins after draining into the brain. Now both spinal cord as well as the brain is made up of two matters. They are called white matter and grey matter. Now what is white matter made up of? A group of or a bundle of action which is covered with myelin sheath is called white matter, whereas grey matter is a collection of nerve cells and dendrites, that is called the grey matter. In a spinal cord, white matter is present outside and the grey matter is inside, whereas in the brain it is just opposite, that is the white matter is present inside and the grey matter is present towards the outside. Now next topic is the human brain. The human brain is a very developed structure. It is divided into three parts. What are they? Forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Forebrain is the anterior, means the front part of the brain, which consists of three parts: olfactory lobe, cerebrum and diencephalon. Now first one is olfactory lobes. Olfactory lobes are a small pair means two, club shaped. Club means lobe. You know that the one which is pointed on the top, just like Hanumanji is carrying that club, no, Gadda. So club shaped body which are covered by cerebrum, and it is seen only in the ventral. Ventral means in the front view of the brain. They are the center of smell. Means what is the function of olfactory lobe of the human brain, of the forebrain? It helps to smell the things and detect it. Next one is the cerebrum. Cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. As you can see in the diagram, this is called the cerebrum. Okay, and it is shown in like a dark color. The color is of different. This one is the cerebellum, and this part represents pons and medulla. So cerebrum is the largest part of the brain, and it is divided into two parts, that is cerebral hemispheres it is called. Like just now I'll draw the diagram here. See, this one is one hemisphere, this one is the other hemisphere. So two hemispheres are there. Both of them are cerebral hemispheres it is called. In the middle it is joined by a tissue which is called corpus callosum. This is a fibrous connective tissue. So corpus callosum, if asked what is corpus callosum, it helps to join both the cerebral hemispheres. Alright, the cerebral hemispheres are covered by grey matter which is called as cerebral cortex. The cortex is the outermost covering which is present around the cerebral hemisphere. Okay, you can see cerebral hemisphere is shown here. Then next one is the thalamus, hypothalamus, pituitary gland is located here. You can see the location of pituitary gland, this one. Then midbrain is shown in the orange color, pons and cerebellum. So next one is the cortex in the hemisphere of cerebrum is 1 to 4 millimeter thick, Now this one is folded into invaginations like this, ups and downs are present, okay? Elevations and depressions are present on the cerebral hemispheres. It is not straight, like these convolutions are there, okay? These convolutions means ups and downs. These elevations are known as gyri, G-Y-R-I, gyri I have written, and the depressions which are present, just like a valley there, it is known as sulci, S-U-L-C-I, sulci. So what is gyri and sulci? The surface of cerebrum is not smooth. It is highly convoluted. Convoluted means ups and downs are there like this. These elevations are called gyri, and these depressions, the down part, is known as sulci. Okay? And if it is more on the surface of cerebrum, it increases the surface area, more is the number of nerve cells, so more intelligent is the person. Okay? So it helps to determine the intelligence. It is believed that number of convolutions determines the intelligence of person, because the size of nerve cell body grows, therefore larger the number, greater is the intelligence. So highly developed cortex help us to memorize, think, plan, reason out, means these are the functions of cerebrum. What is the function of cerebrum? It helps us to learn, it helps us to plan, it helps us to think. So you can practice the leveling of all the parts of this diagram, parts of brain under median section. Next one is the cortex. Region of cerebrum also helps to control the other functions of cerebrum. Voluntary actions means actions which are under our control, like hearing, seeing, taste, smell, touch. Each cerebral hemisphere, like I have shown in the diagram here, two cerebral hemispheres are there. So if I take one cerebral hemisphere, it is divided into 4 lobes. Lobes means, like I have taken this one, suppose one cerebral hemisphere, this is one lobe I have taken, this is another lobe I have taken, 2, this one third lobe I have taken from here to here, and this last one is the 4th lobe. So like this is divided into 4 lobes, you can see. What are the names? Occipital lobe, temporal lobe, parietal lobe, and frontal lobe. Now you can see in this diagram all the 4 lobes are shown. First I will show you where is the occipital lobe, this part which is shown in slightly orange color, this is called the occipital lobe. The next one we have is temporal lobe. In the yellow color you can see this one, this part is called the temporal lobe. Then next one, this, what is it meant for? You can see hearing signals. Occipital lobe, what is the function? It is for vision, to see. Whatever we see, it is because of this part of the brain. Alright. Then next part, frontal lobe, you can see here, it is for thinking. This part which is shown in somewhat purple color, that is for thinking part of the brain, the front part. And then next one, that is, we have the other lobe, temporal lobe, already we have done. Parietal lobe, frontal lobe, parietal lobe we have not done, no? Where is parietal lobe? So in the diagram you can see where is the parietal lobe. Frontal lobe is for thinking. Prefrontal, that is area for speech, this part. In the frontal only, one part is for speech, the other part is for thinking. Okay. Now where is that parietal lobe? Is not shown in the diagram here. Okay. So first one, occipital lobe, it receives the visual information for seeing. Temporal lobe receives auditory signals, that is for hearing, language and words. Parietal lobe is associated with sensory cortex, and it is about touch, taste, pressure, pain, heat and cold. You can see here parietal lobe is shown in this color, red color it is, this part, parietal lobe. Just above this occipital lobe, this one is the parietal lobe. Very small area. It is meant for touch, taste, pressure, pain, heat and cold. So overall, cerebrum, what is the function if asked? It is the seat of intelligence, consciousness, means whatever we think, willpower, invention, whatever the new inventions are done by the scientist because of this one only. The inner part of cerebrum stores experience, memories, which can be brought about by paraphysiological method, which is called hypnosis. Hypnotic, you know how to do hypnosis of a person and take out all the information from him. Okay, now in this you can see various functional areas of the brain. Which part of the brain is associated with which function? Like motor control, this part of the brain. Speech is controlled by this area. Smell is controlled by this area. Hearing is controlled by this orange color. Touch and pressure is controlled by this one. Body awareness by yellow color. Language, then reading, then vision. Alright. Now next is diencephalon. Diencephalon is the last part of the forebrain It is the seat of different types of glands like pineal gland, pituitary gland, thalamus and hypothalamus, which has different functions to do. It is the center for regulation of body temperature, hunger, thirst and sleep. So these are the functions associated with diencephalon. Okay. Okay, now next we have the midbrain. You can see midbrain is a thick-walled structure which is made up of small portion of the brain, and it connects anterior and posterior, means front and back part of the brain. That's why all the nerve fibers pass through this region, and it consists of optic lobes which is responsible for vision. Then the hindbrain is there, the last part of the brain, forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. So midbrain is very small, there is no further divisions of midbrain. Forebrain is divided into three parts: olfactory lobe, cerebrum, diencephalon. We have already done. Now we have to do the last part, that is hindbrain of the human brain. Hindbrain is divided into again three regions. What are they? Cerebellum, pons and medulla oblongata. Cerebellum is the second largest part of the brain. You can see in this diagram, this area is called the cerebellum. This one, which is shown in purple color, okay, is known as cerebellum. Although it represents only 10% of the weight of the brain, it contains many neurons, and it consists of two deeply convoluted hemispheres which has an outer cortex of gray matter, and centrally it has white matter. Now, what is the main function of cerebellum? That you have to remember. Cerebellum main function is muscle coordination, maintains normal muscle tone and posture. It also coordinates balance in the body. Balancing of the body is done by cerebellum. That's why people who are receiving damage to their cerebellum part of the brain due to some problem or due to some accident, they show jerky and uncoordinated motion. Not only that, people who are alcoholic, their cerebellum is affected due to alcohol. So drunken person face problem in muscle coordination and he will walk clumsily. Now the next part is pons. Okay, first one is this one cerebellum, second is pons of the hindbrain. Pons is the part of the brain stem on the floor of hindbrain. It connects cerebrum to cerebellum. That is the function of pons. You can see here, pons is shown in the diagram. This part is known as pons. It connects cerebrum with the cerebellum. That is the function of pons. Now what is the function it will do? Last part we have medulla oblongata of the hindbrain. The medulla oblongata is the swollen tip of the spinal cord. Like this one you can see, medulla is shown here. This is spinal cord. This swollen tip is known as medulla oblongata. This one. Okay, this is the third part of the hindbrain. Just below that, from the medulla oblongata, spinal cord arises, which is a part of our central nervous system. So what is the function of medulla oblongata? It is roughly triangular in shape, and its function is it controls involuntary functions like heartbeat, which is not under our control, breathing, vasoconstriction means constriction of blood vessels, that controls blood pressure, reflex center for vomiting, coughing, sneezing, swallowing, hiccuping, etc. If any damage is caused to this part of the brain, medulla oblongata, it can cause instant death of a person. Now next one is spinal cord of the central nervous system. The spinal cord arises from the base of the brain, that is from the medulla oblongata, and runs throughout the backbone, which is known as vertebral column. Like the brain, it is also protected by three meninges, which are the covering, and cerebrospinal fluid helps to protect it and absorbs shock for it. Spinal cord is a major connection center between central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. If you see the diagram, this diagram is important, you must draw it. TS of a spinal cord, if you want I can draw it also here. It's very simple to draw the spinal cord. You start your drawing with a central canal, the one which is present in the center. You can see this one is the central canal. Then just like a helipad shape, H shape, you can draw four lobes like this. One, see how I am drawing? Okay, then I will draw like this. One more lobe here I will draw. Like this it will go. One more lobe I am drawing here. And then I will try to connect both of them here. Okay, this one I will try to connect. This one you leave it. Okay. Now, what I have drawn here, this one, first I said that I have drawn with the central canal. So you can mark this one as central canal. What is it? It is central canal. C-A-N-A-L. Central canal. Okay. The one which is present in the center of the spinal cord. Now you can see two horns are there. Since this is back side,
means our back part, this is called dorsal horn. What is it called? Dorsal. Dorsal means back side, H-O-R-N, horn. And since it is in the front side, this is known as ventral horn. V-E-N-T-R-A-L, ventral, H-O-R-N, horn. Okay. Now what you can draw is, you can just cover it like this. Okay, like this you can do, and then you can draw it like this. This one you can just pull it here, and from here you can draw it like this. Alright, and from here you can start your yes, and then this part from here you can do, and then this way roughly triangular in shape, and then it will go to both the sensory nerves, that is motor nerve and mixed nerves will be there, which will be sensory nerve and motor nerve that will be supplying to the different parts. Okay, now you can see in the diagram which is already drawn here. Okay, let's start. The spinal cord already we have done. In the TS, that is transverse section, each side of a spinal cord, the dorsal horn and ventral horn are seen. Visible means seen. Spinal nerves arise from both the horns, consist of a dorsal root and a ventral root. You can see where is the dorsal root. This one. Where is the ventral root? This part. So here you can mark it as this one as the ventral root. This one you can mark it as dorsal root. Okay. So what is that? Dorsal root. And what is this one? This one is known as ventral root. V-E-N-T-R-A-L, ventral root. Alright. So dorsal root, ventral root. Now the dorsal root contains neurons that carry the signals to the central nervous system from receptors through sensory neurons. So you can see skin is the receptor here. So if I draw the skin like this here, skin is there. From here the impulse is transmitted through the sensory nerve. This is the sensory nerve which carry the message to where it carry? To the spinal cord. Okay, so here in the spinal cord, the ganglion is there. That is association neuron is present. Okay. Now from here the message is taken through the motor nerve. So one motor nerve I have to draw a straight line which carry the message. Like this arrow I can draw. Here I can draw the arrow, that message is going to the spinal cord. Here the message is going out through the motor nerve. Where it is going? It is going to the muscles or glands. So if I have drawn here muscles, they are the effectors, the one which is affected. It is called muscle. And this is the receptors, the one which receives the impulse, that is the skin. So I can write it here as receptors. The one which receives impulses are known as receptors. Okay, understood? Receptors, and the muscles or glands which are known as effectors. Effectors. So what are they called? They are called as effectors. Okay, and this one is known as receptors. So all these are shown in the diagram here. Now you can see here this part, the one which is shown in the middle, I have drawn this one. It is called the gray matter, which is made up of cell body or cytosol, and this remaining part it is called as white matter. So outer part is white matter, the inner part is gray matter. You can see here in the diagram, white matter this one, and gray matter this part. Here you can see, no, this arrow is pointed. This all are gray matter. Okay, so this one is all known as gray matter. So if you want, you can label it here. I don't have place, so here I am just labeling it gray matter. What is it called? G-R-E-Y, gray matter. M-A-T-T-E-R, gray matter. Okay, similarly this part is known as the white matter. Now the gray matter is the inside of a spinal cord. It consists of or made up of cell bodies and dendrites, whereas the white matter which is present outside, this one, it is made up of neurons, bundles of neurons. Now what are the functions of a spinal cord? You can see three functions are there. It controls reflex, which is below the neck region. It conducts sensory impulses from the skin and muscles to the brain. So first one is to control the reflex action. What is reflex action? That we will study. It conducts motor responses from the brain to the muscles, like motor responses from the brain to the muscles or glands it is taking away. Now what is peripheral nervous system? The last one. The peripheral nervous system consists of the nerves which arises from brain and spinal cord. Two types of nerves are there. The nerves which arises from the brain, it is called cranial nerves. There are 12 pairs of cranial nerves. They arise from the brain and carry the message or impulses to head and neck region. A cranial nerve may consist of different types of fibers like sensory fiber, motor fiber, or mixture of both of them. Sensory cranial nerves carry impulses from the nose to the brain, from the eye to the brain, from the ear to the brain. Like optic nerve carry from eye to brain, which results in vision. The auditory nerve carry from ear to the brain. Then comes motor cranial nerves, the nerves which control the eye muscles and the muscles of tongue, like they carry information from brain to the eyes. Mixed cranial nerves, they are present in the skin and taste buds of the tongue, and they are responsible for touch and taste. The last one is spinal nerves. There are 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Out of them, 8 pairs are present in cervical, means in the neck region, they are called cervical nerves. 12 pairs are present in the thoracic, that is chest region, they are called thoracic nerve. 5 pairs are present in the lumbar means in the waist region, they are called lumbar nerves. And 5 pairs are present in the below the waist region, that is known as sacral nerves. And one is there in the tail region, that is called coccygeal nerves. Okay. Then you can learn the differences between spinal nerves and cranial nerves. There are 31 pairs. This is 12 pairs. They arise from spinal cord. They arise from brain. They innervate the visceral organs. They innervate the head. After that, section exercises are there. You can try them. So in the next class, we will continue with the autonomic nervous system. Okay. Thank you.